Alright guys, what's going on? I should be coming through now. I'll need a mic check from someone in chat. Yeah, unfortunately, a little bit of a late start, but what are you gonna do? Sometimes nature calls, am I right? Right, so today, the poll has AdMech at 43% in the lead, eh? Interesting. Oh, it's gonna be a fight between AdMech and Guard. How about that? All right, I want to check out the Custodes index mainly because it's an army of the armies here, it's the one I'm most familiar with because I have a small collection of them. And then we'll take it from there afterwards into whatever the poll says. Loud and clear, perfect. Thank you guys. Okay, so the Adeptus Custodes. Army rule is the martial kata. Something I'm not overly pleased with seeing returning. I mean, it's fluffy enough. To be frank, I just don't like how it's, in the fight phase, you get on the horn and you tell everyone to adopt the same stance, regardless of what situation each unit may find themselves in. It's a bit weird. But it is what it is, and it's a better system than it was in 9th, that's for sure. Way less convoluted. So at the start of the fight phase, select one kata stance from the list below to be active for your army until the end of the phase. While a kata stance is active for your army, each unit from your army with this ability gains the relevant ability. You have Captaris, Dakatarai, and Rendax returning. I think there used to be 5 of these. Either 5 or 6, I can't recall. But in any case, the spirit of each one is more or less intact. Captaris gives you a -1 to hit against enemy attacks. Dakatarai gives sustained hits 1, and lethal hits off for Rendax, which makes sense enough. Hey, Josh, how's it going? Thanks for popping into the stream. We're doing a little bit of an index review. Just thumbing through the new stuff that just got released today. So the detachment rule for the Adeptus Custodes is the Aegis of the Emperor. 4 up, feel no pain against mortal wounds. This was the Emperor's chosen subfaction rule from the previous codex. It was, by and large, I think the all-comers choice for most competitive, shoring up a pretty serious weakness for the Custodes, given that they have a good armor save and army-wide invulnerable save. So having it here is certainly going to serve you well, especially with all the devastating wounds that seem to be peppered across every army. On to the stratagems. So this is where, this is mostly new information here. Stratagems, we have Slayers of Nightmares. 1 command point in the fight phase. 1 Adeptus Custodes unit from your army that has not been selected to fight this phase. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes an attack, that targets a monster or a vehicle, +1 to wound. Wow! Okay, so 1 CP, you can go into vehicles and monsters with a little less to worry about. Now it's going to be contextualized once we take a look at the range of units. But +1 to wound regardless is good money value for 1 CP. Unwavering Sentinels. Hey, Gavin Kennedy, thanks for stopping by. Unwavering Sentinels for 2 command points, again in the fight phase. Yeah, we can definitely see Custodes is very fight phase oriented here, just looking at the icons on these stratagems. Well, at least 4 out of 6. At the start of the fight phase, 1 Adeptus Custodes unit from your army, excluding Anathema Psychana units, that is within range of an objective marker. Until the end of the phase, that unit has fight first. Tremendous, and that's why it's 2 CP. Because especially with how fight first is even more valuable than it was before, given that you alternate starting with you if you have fight first, even if you get charged. Very potent defensive ability for a unit that wants to be in combat. Or sorry, for an army that wants to be in combat, rather. Avenge the Fallen. I can take a guess at what this is. Fight on Death. No, it's not. Okay, start at the fight phase. One Adeptus Custodes unit that is below starting strength and has not been selected to fight this phase. Until the end of the phase, add 1 to the attacks characteristics of melee weapons equipped by models in that unit. If below half strength, add 2 to the attacks characteristic instead. Okay, so it's more or less, I think, it's essentially the same as that stratagem was in 9th edition, if I'm recalling correctly. Shore up a little bit of your volume as you start losing models from a unit. For 1 CP, it's not bad. Arcane Genetic Alchemy, 2 command points. Okay, I'm expecting big things, used in the shooting or fight phase. 1 Adeptus Custodes infantry unit. Okay, so here we have one locked to infantry, where all the others were not. And it doesn't apply to Sisters of Silence infantry. That's selected as a target of an attack until the end of the... Okay, -1 damage until the end of the phase. For 2 command points, -1 damage on Custodes. I guess keeping it off of vehicles and dreadnoughts and land raiders and the like would make it too egregious, so... makes sense why it's applied here in this way. Just on infantry, it will keep things in check. Not too overtuned, knock on wood. Oh, hey, Outer Circle. Thanks for stopping by, man. I am doing well. I hope things are all good with you, dude. Okay, and the last 2 stratagems are Vigil Unending, 1 command point in the command phase. 1 Adeptus Custodes infantry unit from your army. Again, excluding Sisters of Silence. And the effect is 1 destroyed model is... Okay, this is the... Yeah, it returns 1 destroyed model back to the unit, excluding characters. This is the one that was previewed on Warhammer Community. You cannot target the same unit with a stratagem more than once per battle round. Your command phase. Well, stratagems are only used once per phase. So why would they specify this if it's not either player's command phase? So there must be some tools to use stratagems freely with some characters, like with like we've seen with Space Marine captains. And the last stratagem is Sworn Guardians, used in the movement phase, which already makes it fairly interesting. 1 command point, 1 Adeptus Custodes unit, again excluding Sisters of Silence, within range of an objective marker you control. That objective marker remains under your control, even if you have no models within range of it. So it's essentially sticky objectives for a command point. So I would take that to mean there may not be any sticky obsec units in the army. Oh, I guess that remains to be seen. Okay, enhancements. The all-important enhancements. We have 4. Seeing some familiar... Some familiar picks up here with Unstoppable Destroyer and Veiled Blade. This was a Captain Commander trait, and I think this used to be a relic. Unstoppable Destroyer. It's for an Adeptus Custodes model only. It's so awkward they have to say Adeptus Custodes, because that's the faction, even though Sisters of Silence are technically Adeptus Custodes. It's so weird. Okay, each time the bearer ends a charge move, select 1 enemy unit within engagement range of the bearer, roll 1d6. On a 2 to 5, they suffer d3 mortal wounds. On a 6, they suffer 3 mortal wounds. Mortal wounds on the charge isn't bad, but also, once per battle, after the bearer's unit ends a charge move, all enemy units within 6 inches of the bearer must take a battle shock test. Well, that could be pretty potent. After you end a charge move, all enemy units within 6 inches. So you don't have to fight. It's unrelated to your combat performance or the outcome of the fight itself. And you get to trigger Battle Shock test at the end of the charge. That could impact quite a few things. In addition to the unit you're charging, it could turn off the capacity to heroically intervene. Because you have to be within 6 inches to heroically intervene, right? A very important, I think it's a great stratagem, the new heroic intervention. And to potentially turn that off by forcing a battle shock test once your charge is over, that's pretty spicy. And these are all free. They're free in air quotes. You have to not pick 1, essentially. So you're always going to pick 3 every time. I mean, unless you just don't have enough characters. But because they're just part of list construction, I think by default that system encourages you to take them. Take enough characters to get the enhancements. All right, moving on to Veiled Blade. Oh, is that right, Josh? Did I misread that? You can't do it on the same Vigilant ending. Oh, the same unit. You're exactly right. Yeah, makes sense. Well, yeah, this seems fair to me. Right? Quite possibly to agree just to keep refunding the same unit that's you've been trying to harass down all game. So you can't keep bringing back models into that same unit over time. Sort of akin to the Black Legion, not the Black Legion, but the Chaos Space Marine Terminator, the Infinite Terminator regenning brick from 9th edition. That would mitigate that potential. I think it's a good restriction. I think it's fair. The Veiled Blade does +2 attacks to the bearer's melee weapons. Okay, so now we have to keep that in mind when we look at the characters. And once per battle at the start of any command phase, triple the bearer's objective control characteristic. Wow, that is pretty good. I have to keep that in mind too. So you can't give these to named characters, but we'll have to look at the usual suspects. Our captains on shield captains on bikes, and perhaps the Blade Champion. Inspirational Exemplar. Adeptus Custodes model, not counting Sister of Silence. The bearer has a leadership characteristic of 5+, and then you get a once per battle ability to, at the start of any phase, you can select one Adeptus Custodes unit, and that is battle shocked and within 12 inches of the bearer. Okay, so it's a little bit of a chaplain type interaction for this guy once per battle. And I think the chaplains is also once per battle, so yeah, very powerful. Very powerful. The start of any phase. So if someone battle shocks you, if someone gets you with this at the end of their charge move, you could just use your Inspirational Exemplar to get rid of battle shock in the fight phase. Pretty cool. And Ceaseless Hunter. Adeptus Custodes model only. The bearer's unit is eligible to shoot and declare a charge in a turn in which it fell back. Okay, get some... Oh, it's the whole unit. Yeah, that's pretty good. Fall back and shoot and charge. Wow, that's awesome. And once per battle, when enemy unit ends a normal or fallback move, advance or fallback move within 9 inches of the bearer. If the bearer's unit is not within engagement range of one or more enemy units, it can make a normal move up to 6 inches. Wow, I wonder if that's just the go-to for the shield captain on a bike, maybe. Right? Then your unit of bikes can fall forward and charge, advance and charge. Or sorry, it's not advance. It's shoot and declare a charge. So fall back and... Yeah, fall back and shoot and charge, not advance and charge. So you can't advance and charge, but fall forward and charge is very alluring. Especially with the units being as resilient as they are. You do have... which was Archangelic Alchemy. Doesn't restrict only infantry. Okay, so you can't use that on bikes. Because I'm sure they're mounted, most probably. Very interesting. Okay, so I think we're ready to take a look at the units proper. Yes, Jeremy. The Imperium has factions other than Space Marines. You wouldn't know it, but they do. Okay, Trajan Valor. So let me zoom out here a bit. He was previewed on Warhammer Community. I think anyone who's seen that is fairly familiar with what he does. 6 attacks from 10, AP2, 3 damage. That 3 damage is quite a premium. And his Watcher's Axe and ranged is really good too. 2 attacks, BS2, 5, -2, 3 damage. Feel no pain built in 5+, T6, 7 wounds. 7 wounds for a 40 millimeter. Is it 40 or 50? Either way. Transhuman infantry-sized model. A lot of wounds. Okay, Martial Kata, of course. Sorry about that. Captain General, while this model is leading a unit, you can ignore any roll modifiers to the characteristics of models in that unit. Okay, so that unit will be able to perform unhindered, regardless of enemy interactions. And Moment Shackle, once per battle at the start of the fight phase, you can select one of the following to take effect. Watcher's Axe will have 12 attacks, so you get double attacks, a 2-up invulnerable save for... And this is, again, only in the fight phase, so 2-up invulnerable save in the fight phase, or to give his unit fight first, which is... All are good, right? Fight first might be a better defensive tool. But if he's caught out in the open, or maybe if something is... if he's being hit by a strong demon or something, a greater demon with precision... Because you can just give any unit precision with that epic challenge stratagem. That 2-up invulnerable save could be very clutch. He can lead Wardens and Guard. Makes sense to me. Valerian. Oh, how did they do my boy Valerian? They already gave him a ugly face, but it just might be the paint job more than the model itself. Okay, Gnosis is 3 attacks in shooting, AP -1, strength 4, 2 damage. And in melee, it's 7 attacks. So I actually need to see what a Guardian Spear looks like for some context here. So a normal Guardian Spear is 5 attacks, 7 -2, 2. Valerianus has 2 extra attacks, 8. Oh, he's got a nice premium AP3. Wow, Valerian, good for you, buddy. Feel no pain 6+. Provides him a little more resiliency. That's awesome. Golden Laurels. While this model is leading a unit, each time a melee attack targets that unit, worsen the AP by 1. Oh, that's awesome. Only in melee. Yeah, Custodes are really repositioning to be a fight phase centric army, which I think feels better. That's awesome though. -1 AP. And Hero of the Lionsgate. Or I guess Hero of Lionsgate. It's the Primarch's Gate. Maybe. Someone in chat can probably confirm. Once per battle round, you can reroll 1 hit roll, 1 wound roll, or 1 saving throw made for this model. So it's per battle round, so if you need to hit a bit harder, or if you're playing defense, you can choose to use it as you please. And in addition, once per battle, after making a hit roll, wound roll, or saving throw, you can change the result to a modified 6. Interesting. So no special effects innately on Gnosis, but it may affect the stances, right? The stances. Yeah. Lethal hits off Rendax or sustained hits. So... yeah, you can, depending on the stance you're in, you can really pop off those hits better than you would otherwise. That's a nice little something, a little extra perk to tack on to his Hero of the Lionsgate ability. Yeah, Jeremy, brother is going to need a helmet. Most certainly. And he can lead Guard and Wardens. Okay. Seems like the Custodians are more consistent than the Space Marines so far, for regarding what units they can lead. Then we have our Shield Captain, our generic Shield Captain. So, Master of the Stances. At the start of the fight phase, select 1 Kata stance until the end of the phase. That stance is active for this model's unit, in addition to the one that is active. Okay, I like this. I suppose that was what we should have expected to see. but it is interesting. Double dip. And once per battle, you can triple dip once per battle. And strategic mastery. Once per battle round, you can select one model from your army with this ability. The model's unit can be targeted with a stratagem for 0 CP. Okay. So I'll have to remind myself now. The captains, the Space Marine captains, they are once per battle round. Use a stratagem on their unit for 0 CP, right? Rites of battle. Yeah, once per battle round, one unit from your army with this ability can be targeted by a stratagem for 0. Whereas the Custodes do it once per game. Oh no, it's the same. Same, once per battle round. Yeah, even if the stratagem. Okay. So they have rites of battle. And it has the same stipulation, even if it's already been used by another unit. Okay, interesting. I'm wondering how, having not played a game, we're just looking at the rules theoretically for 10th edition here, I'm wondering how much tracking is gonna, you have to track how many captains have used their strategic mastery or have not used it this battle round, or which stratagem he's used and now is only ever usable by another unit with strategic mastery. It's something to think about. Okay, how does... My other question is a Sentinel Blades. Sentinel Blade has... Okay, in melee, they all shoot the same. Just the Sentinel Blade has worst range. Same volume at half the range, but it can be shot in melee, which is the trade-off, which isn't bad. It also comes with a shield, which gives you +1 wound, which is huge. And the blade itself is... Oh, look at this! They did what I've always wanted. 3, 2, and 1 damage for the axe, spear, and blade, respectively. The axe has the worst AP of them all, which is weird, but it's a choice. It's probably a game design concession, I would have to imagine. Very cool. Yeah, shields are... Even at 1 damage, the shield has... You're getting a shield with that Sentinel Blade, so it's worth. Okay, and yep, he leads Guard and Wardens, and the Blade Champion, the new kid on the block. He has Deep Strike as well. Okay, Vault Swords, Precision. Oh, Precision built in, okay. 6 attacks. And these all can have sustained hits and lethal hits. You have to keep that in mind. Strength 7, -2, 2 damage. Hurricanus is 9 attacks with sustained 1. Okay. And Victus is Devastating Wounds. So your anti-armor swing has more AP and more damage. Your precision swing has higher strength, but worse AP and damage. And the anti-armor swing has a devastating wounds, which layers together fairly well, right? It's a little bit lower strength, but with devastating wounds, you have the AP and damage that you'd want for when you do wound those tougher targets, because they generally have better saves and more wounds, right? Very cool. Okay, while this model is leading a unit, you can reroll advance and charge rolls made for that unit. In addition, once per battle, this model's unit is eligible to declare a charge in a turn in which it advance and charge Custodes. Crazy. Custodian Guard and Wardens. Okay, so that means... Yeah, I mean, he's not an epic hero, right? So... Yeah, advance and charge groups of Custodian Guard and Wardens. Wow. That's not something I thought I'd see, to be honest. And his second ability is Legacy of Combat. You can target this model with the Heroic Intervention stratagem for 0 command points. Oh, that's awesome. And do so even if you've already... That's tremendous. Really good. That is awesome. That's like the Von Ryan Leapers, but to whatever unit he's attached to. Very cool. Let's take a look at stratagem to fight first, because fight first is huge for heroic intervention. Okay, fight first works with... Oh, yeah, look. Okay, so you have to be within range of an objective marker. So he could heroically intervene within range of an objective marker. Okay. Because for him, heroic intervention would cost 0 CP, so you're just paying the 2 to fight first. Or if you're already there, you fight first anyways. Whoops, let's tab back over. Get back to the Blade Champion. Okay. Custodian Guard, right. So I jumped ahead earlier to take a look at the Guardian Spear. Their Sentinel Blade is 5 attacks. Okay, 5 attacks regardless of either option. 7 minus 2, 2 damage. That is pretty good. Pretty good. That's just a standard weapon, right? Your basic infantry is 5 attacks. It's like fighting like a character. Almost like a Thunderhammer, right? Thunderhammer is strength 8, AP2, 2 damage, and except the Thunderhammer hits on 4s. Oh no, it hits on, well, 4s for a normal Marine, 3s for a Captain, which would ordinarily have the same weapon skill as a Custodian Guard. Okay, so the Custodian Guard's ability. This is the deal breaker here for me. It's very important that this is good. Each time this model enemy makes an attack, reroll a wound roll of 1. While this unit is within range of an objective marker you control, you can reroll a wound roll of 1 instead. Okay, that's super cool. Super cool. So, rather than the Chaos Space Marines, which have the same perk in effect for attacking a target, attacking an objective effectively, for defending an objective, the Custodes have this performance boosting perk. That is quite good. Quite good. So units of Custodian Guard led by a captain can use a stratagem. A shield captain can use a stratagem for 0 CP. Doesn't say it reduces it by 1, so you could just use the fight first 2 CP stratagem with a unit of Custodian Guard, and if they're on an objective, which you need to be to use the stratagem, you'll be re-rolling full wound rerolls. That's crazy good. That's really good. Charge a unit of Custodian Guard on an objective. Good luck. They're gonna fight first for free if there's a captain there, and they're gonna re-roll everything. Well, re-roll the wound anyways. Already hitting on 2s, right? Good lord. And their second ability, Sentinel Storm, once per battle in your shooting phase. After this unit has shot, it can shoot again. I mean, that's neat. It's not nothing. You're shooting twice in your shooting phase, but their shooting isn't their specialty. But still pretty cool. Yeah, because you're... Well, I guess you just double your volume, regardless. In your shooting phase with shields, that could be... Yeah, it's alright. And the Vexilla adds 1 to the OC characteristic. Right, because the Vexilla is no longer a character, because Games Workshop is making leaders based on how products are sold, not on how they would operate in universe. It is what it is. Very interesting. Okay, Wardens. The very cool guys with robes that weren't very, they didn't feel very cool to field, that's for sure. So is there a stat line difference here? 3 wounds, yeah, T6. OC2. Okay, they have OC2. That's something. Okay, they got axes, which is a bit of a premium position now with damage 3. Okay, Resolute Will. While a character is leading this unit, each time an attack targets this unit, if the strength characteristic of that attack is greater than the toughness characteristic of this unit, subtract 1 from the wound roll. Okay, -1 to wound against Things that would wound you on 4s or better. So good luck trying to wound them on 2s. You can't. And to wound them on 3s, you need to hit them with strength 12, which is like a last cannon. Not a bad ability. And then if a character's leading them, what do we have? We have shield captains that do the free CP tricks that can give lots of stances, and give the blade guard, sorry, the blade champion to make him advance and charge and heroically intervene for 0 CP, potentially. So it definitely feels like the blade champion's your offensive leader, and your shield captain definitely feels, I mean, he can be offensive too, obviously, but the fight first for 0 CP on an objective seems really good. Okay, let's get back to Wardens. And Living Fortress, once per battle at the start of any phase, this unit can use this ability. If it does, until the end of the phase, models in this unit have a feel no pain of... Wow. Wow, they definitely made them good. Definitely feel like an elite option now. How about that? Okay, still 3 to 6. What was the size for the guard squad? 4 to 10. Okay. Oh, funnily enough, Vekith, I went up and checked it anyways. Funnily enough. I'll try to keep a better eye on chat. If you need my attention in chat, you can @ what the 40k, and that'll kind of highlight it for me. It'll make it easier to spot out. All right, Shield Captain in Alaris Terminator armor. T7, 5 move, 7 wounds. So 1 more wound and 1 more toughness over the standard Shield Captain, is that right? Yeah. All for 1 less movement. Pretty good. Okay, the blast weapons D6, 7, -1, 2. Yeah, I think these went down in potency, but I think this result is more tasteful, to be honest. Got the 6 attacks with an axe. Weapon skill 3. Abilities are defiant to the last. If this model is destroyed by a melee attack, if it has not fought this phase on a 2-up, they don't remove it from play. The destroyed model can fight. Okay, fight on death on a 2-up. Not bad. Not bad. And strategic mastery. Okay, just like it's the rites of battle. Simple enough of a unit. Leads Alaris Custodians, of course. Okay, and the Custodians themselves. 4 attacks with axes. I think this was previewed on Warhammer Community. Yes, yeah, it was. Each time the model in this unit makes a character monster attack... Sorry. Let's try that again. Slayers of Tyrants. Each time a model in this unit makes an attack that targets a character, monster, or vehicle, you can reroll the wound. Okay, so these are your Slayers of Tyrants, your monster and vehicle hunters for an army that doesn't really have dedicated tools to do that. You know, there's not too many last cannons you can get in an army like this. So that is the unique position they find themselves in. So you can re-roll the wound roll, and the stratagem lets you add 1 CP, add 1 to wound rolls versus monsters and vehicles too. So you could add 1 to wound and re-roll, full re-rolls for 1 CP. Pretty good. And you can do that for free if you have a captain in there leading them. It's all going to come down to points, all these, because it's so appealing to put like a leader in each... You know, it's almost like a war gear option. Like, oh, I want to give this unit this upgrade via this other unit, and I fix it. And then it's so alluring. It has to be cost prohibitive, right? Or else the combos go out of control. Like, how many of these combos can you have in a list? It gets kind of crazy to me. What was the second ability here? Oh, from the Golden Light. This is a very cool ability. A redeploy on the opponent's turn. Games Workshop has finally figured it out. Nobody wants to remove a unit at the start of their turn to bring it back at the start of their next turn. It's like this rewards you from setting up that freedom, that lack of engagement range, and it rewards you with a very tactical redeploy. Tactically advantageous redeploy, yes. Okay, that seems all there is to it for these guys. 2 to 2. Oh, no more units of 1. That's a little bit of a bummer. Wonder why that is. Is it purely a game concession thing? They're too strong in units of 1? Once per battle teleporting with single model units might be too powerful, perhaps. I always found the single model units, while, you know, having more MSU did provide utility, it also meant you couldn't you couldn't squeeze more value out of your stratagems the way you could with a larger. I always thought that was a pretty decent enough trade-off, but maybe that isn't the case. I see your comment, Hazardous. I don't think axes are... They're definitely worse, but I still think you're probably going to want them. They have the potent damage 3 that rarely seen in many armies. You know, like Thunderhammers no longer have that ability to chunk things down with a melee weapon, right? Even with AP1, I think I have a hunch. You know, it all comes down to like how once we play it, but I think the damage 3 is still probably worth it. Shield Captain on jet bike. Okay, this is the other half of the equation. I was really happy with the Shield Captain's abilities on foot. Very, very cool. Master of the stances gives him good utility and flexibility, and I'm hoping the Shield Captain on jet bike does not have that utility. Sweeping advance. While this model is leading a unit, each time that unit consolidates, okay, each time, it can move 6 inches instead of 3 inches. That is very good, but the big but is we need to see the core rules, right? Because I believe consolidation doesn't allow for as much jank anymore. Okay. In addition, once per battle, the end of the fight phase, if this model's unit is within engagement range of 1 or more enemy units, it can fall back as if it... Oh, wow. Hit and run. Look at this. Look at this creative mechanic. Once per battle is fall out after hitting something. Or if it's not within engagement range. Yeah, once per battle, the end of the fight phase. So yours or your enemies. You can fall out of combat, or if you're not within engagement range, you can make a normal move. That's really good still. It's different, which is fine. It meets my need. For like from a design point of view, it's the same principle I was speaking to with the Space Marine characters, where you give a character a jump pack and it's effectively just as good as the non-jump pack version, but now it has the benefits of fly and more movement, right? And there was a very similar thing going on with shield captains on foot and on Dawn Eagle jet bike. I was having a hard time justifying to myself whenever I would play Custodes I just feel bad taking a guy on foot, because the bike just seems to be the superior option. But now with the way units are locked to... by the way, leaders are locked to units, and having unique and different abilities, it creates a much more valid justification for fielding these different options, right? The Space Marine Chaplain, the Primaris Chaplain on bike gave me this, like, times a million, because it's just like all the same powers are available, right? So they do the same buffs, but it's just way more durable, way more movement, more wounds. But 10th edition design philosophy, like, I know it's ability overload, but what I do like about it is it allows for this design space to have justification for the mounted and non-mounted characters, which I think is better. Creates less feels bad. Okay, so for the Interceptor Lance itself, it has the Lance ability, Strength 7, so it's always, if you charge, it's adding 1 to wound. Which isn't terrible. Strength T14 is like a monolith, right? So it'll be wounding on 4s against most tough stuff. Yeah, definitely worse for, they're worse for wear than they used to be. Hurricane Bolter, yeah, it's casualty of the rapid fire changes in 10th. And the Melta Missile. Yeah, that's also weaker, because I think the Melta Missile used to have the AP of a Melta gun, if I'm not mistaken. Now it just has the strength of a Melta, but with worse AP. It has a missile, like a standard crack missile AP. Which is weird. I know there's 2 types of missiles, and they took away the option to fire the 2 different profiles from 8th to 9th. So now it feels like they've hybridized the profile. But they didn't give you more volume, which is weird. Very weird. Okay, let's take a look at the regular bikers. Turbo boost. Each time this unit advances, do not make an advance roll. Instead, at the end of the phase, add 6 inches to the move characteristic of models in this unit. Oh, no worries, Atomic. No worries. Thanks for stopping by. You take care, man. Okay, Quicksilver Execution. Once per battle. After this unit ends an advance move, you can select 1 enemy unit, excluding monsters or vehicles that this unit moved over during that move. Then roll 1d6 for each model in this unit, for each 2+. Enemy suffers 2 mortal wounds. Wow, uncapped also. That is very, very reliable. 2 mortal wounds on a roll of 2+. It's once per battle, so fair enough. Yeah, 2 to 6. Ugh, that's so weird. I guess the idea is you buy a box of 3, so then you could use the captain. So you could build a captain if you wanted to and still use the unit of 2 bikers, I suppose. Okay, each time this unit advances. Yes. Okay, so after this unit ends an advance move. So you have to advance to use this execution move. It is very powerful. Because you could have 6 guys. If you have a big fat squad, you'll do a considerable amount of mortal wounds. But that's in exchange of fighting and the utility that comes with charging and getting stuck in. The Shield Captain lets you, once per battle, at the end of the fight phase, you can fall back, as if it were your movement phase. Okay, so there's no interaction with those 2 abilities, I don't think. Interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, so this is an either-or, because the advance and charge was on infantry via the Blade Champion, right, so... And when they pile and consolidate, they can move 6 inches instead of 3. I feel kind of, getting some weird feelings about the bikes. Is it just mediocre or something awkward with the design here? You can fall out of combat. You have better consolidation, not pile-in, and then you have. Okay, let's see what the consolidation is while we're here. So go to the battle round. Charge, fight phase, fights first, fight, pile-in, consolidate. Okay, how different is this? After a unit has finished making all of its melee attacks, it consolidates. Each time a unit consolidates, you can move each model in that unit that is not already in base-to-base contact with an enemy model up to 3 inches. So this is the range that's boosted to 6, the consolidation move. For a consolidation to be possible, but you can only do it for units not already in base-to-base contact. And I believe Pile-In forces you to go into base-to-base, does it not? Pile-In, move up to 3 inches. Every model that moves must end closer to the closest enemy model, and in base-to-base contact with an enemy model if possible. So you only get 6 inches. You have to end closer to the closest enemy model and in base-to-base contact with an enemy model if possible. Okay, so it's a little hard to. Wish I had some bases on my desk just to kind of imagine with so I wouldn't have to imagine. So it'll just help you get stuck in to the unit. That seems to be the value you're gaining for the 6-inch consolidate. But for consolidation to be possible, you must be able to end your move within enemy engagement range or enemy units within. You have to end within unit coherency, right? If these conditions cannot be met, then each model in the unit can instead make a consolidation move towards the closest objective marker, but only if, after doing so, it is within range of the objective marker and in unit coherency. Okay, so that 6 inches movement is very good. They have the means to shred infantry, elite infantry squad, like Space Marine, 2 wounded guys, pretty easily with even a squad of 2 or 2 plus a leader or 3. Then you can just lurch onto an objective after you've destroyed them with that 6-inch consolidation. Yeah, that is a useful ability. Very cool. Yes, we did some internet detective work. We figured it out. Virtus Praetors. Okay. Alea. Okay, we're done the Custodes. Well, at least the infantry. Or I guess non-vehicles. We're onto the Sisters of Silence. Okay, Alea. Valerian's main squeeze. Somnus is anti-psyker, devastating wounds. Probably anti-psyker because I'm assuming the standard. I think the standard greatswords are anti-psyker 4+ as well. But devastating wounds on a 4-up, 3 damage per. That is pretty scary. She hits on 2s with her giant greatsword. And my captain has to hit on 3s with his Thunderhammer. It feels a bit weird to me. I'm not bitter. Okay. But 3 damage. Mortal wounds. 3 damage with devastating wounds. Anti-Psyker 4+ is pretty good. Niche, but pretty good. Okay, she has scouts 6 inches with leader and a built-in Feel No Pain 5+. That's cool. I'm not seeing a rule to fight alongside Valerian anymore, that was always more of a narrative rule anyways. While this model is leading a unit, models in the unit have the fight's first ability. Okay, so she gives a very potent ability to her sisters. Tenacious Spirit, while she's leading a unit, each time a model in the unit makes an attack, add 1 to the hit roll if that unit is below starting strength, and add 1 to the wound roll if it's below half strength. Okay, that's a rule we're starting to see all over the place, and I really feel like it should have been, I don't know, it could have been like a universal rule or something. Daughters of the Abyss, yeah, that's the ability they all have. 3-up, Feel No Pain against psychic attacks. Oh, and she has invulnerable save 5+, which is cool. I wonder if they all have that. Knight Centura does. How about the prosecutors? Nope. Okay, Knight Centura has Daughter of the Abyss as well. Corner the Quarry. Each time an enemy unit, excluding monsters and vehicles, as within engagement range, this model falls back. All models must take a Desperate Escape test. Okay, so she forces Desperate Escape, potentially on 3 up, I think they pass. On a 1 or 2, you drop a model. If her units if it can get into engagement range with an enemy unit, which is okay. Seeker's Instincts. While Small's leading unit, add 2 inches to this move characteristic and 2 inches to advance and charge rolls. Well, that'll make Corner the Quarry. Corner the Quarry. It'll make that ability a bit more easier to leverage. With that +2 to charge. Yeah, her Executioner Great Blade is also 4+. Okay, yeah, so we can see the profile difference on a laser weapon. 6 minus 3. 3 damage on Somnus. What a weapon. Oh, it's got some war gear options, so you could, and regardless of her war gear options, you can, join whichever squad you want. No weird ruling like the captain of the Primaris type needing to have a plasma pistol to lead the Hellblasters. Where's the consistency? Okay, first unit is Prosecutors. They are battle line. Purity of Execution. Each time a model unit makes a ranged attack that targets a Psyker unit, that attack has the Precision and Devastating Wounds ability. Okay, so you can trickle in some mortals on crit wounds and target leaders from 24 inches. It's 1 attack with rapid fire 1. It's okay. Yeah, it'll come down for points for them. I want them to be good. The Sisters of Silence rules. Thematically, I love Talons of the Emperor, and I would love the Sisters of Silence to have a real integral place in the army, but it's always been a situation where it just doesn't spark too much joy. Very good. So good point you've made there, Josh. Very good point. Consolidate 6 inches, and at the end of the fight, fall back so you're free to charge something else. Lots of extra movement. Yeah, because let's take a look at that interaction, just so my understanding is crystal clear. No problem, dude. Thanks for stopping by. It's much appreciated. You have a good one. Yeah, so you consolidate 6 inches at the end of the fight and then fall back. Right, because it's in addition once per battle at the end of the fight phase. You can make that normal move. Yeah, that is a very good ability. Very, very potent. Movement wins games after all, right? Though I am still happy that he's not just doing what the captain does on the biker chassis, which was my primary concern with the shield captain on bike versus the shield captain on foot. Vigilators. The girls with the swords. What's their ability? Each time a melee attack targets this unit, subtract 1 from the hit roll. Okay, deft parry. Very simple unit here. Not a lot going on. And what about the Flamers, the Witch Seekers? Models in this unit have... Oh, sorry. Each time this unit shoots after it has shot, that unit must take a battle shock test. Okay, so it's the Infernus Squad type ability. The Scorching Flames terrify the enemy and they must take a battle shock test. I don't know. What I'm seeing here doesn't spark too much joy for the Sisters of Silence. I think they're going to be... Custodes are looking good. The units we've seen so far. The Sisters are a bit more mild. Okay, Venerable Contemptor Dreadnought hits on 2s. That makes sense. War Gear is more or less in line with the Space Marines type, from what I gather. Unyielding Ancient. Yeah, it has the same ability as the Astartes Contemptor. On a 2-up, it can be set back up, which is interesting. Gonna be very curious to see the Forge World indexes for the Custodes, because a good portion of their units are locked away there. Anathema Psychana Rhino. Feel no pain against psychic attacks on the Rhino too. That seems to be the big difference. Oh, a Hunter Killer Missile. A rare type of weapon for the for the Adeptus Custodes army. Strength 14. Venerable Land Raider. Okay, so it has assault ramps. It has a transport capacity of 6. I want to say that's what it was transporting before. So interestingly, I mean, if that's the case, it means their Land Raider did not increase in transport capacity in line with everyone else's. You got your Godhammer last cannons. 2 shots, and that is 2, right? Yeah, so very premium weapon there. Hunter Killer Missile as well. Yeah, everything else seems to be in line. I mean, they have a 2-up ballistic skill, though. That's pretty sweet. That is pretty sweet. Okay, that's the Custodes index. It's a quick one because they are such a small army. And okay, we have Imperial Guard. Not even close by a good margin there. Imperial Guard it is, and by comparison, they have a huge index. So it's kind of good it worked out that Custodes are so small. Okay, Imperial Guard. Let's see what's going on here. To refresh my memory. Okay. Oh, this is interesting. Is this new artwork? Very cool. Or maybe it's from the newer codex. I don't think they'd make artwork for the indexes. Okay, move. Add 3 inches to the move characteristic. Fix bayonets. Add 1 to melee. And sorry, these orders are... Okay. Officers in your army can... With this ability, can issue orders. Each officer's datasheet will specify how many orders it can issue and which units are eligible to receive those orders. Okay. So that context will be determined later. Each time an officer model issues an order, select one of the orders below. Okay, so you don't... By the sounds of it, you don't have to remember which officer knows which orders. Just who they can issue orders to and how many orders you can do. And until start your next command phase, the unit is affected by that order. Unless otherwise stated, a unit can only be affected by 1 order at a time. Any order subsequently issued to that unit replaces the current one. You know, I'm kind of glad that Imperial Guard won. There was some things I spotted while reformatting the index that I was like, I have a problem with this. But it's probably not what you guys are thinking. It's definitely more of a personal gripe. Okay, so the orders themselves, we have take aim, improve the BS by 1. Very good. Very good for your indirect. If you have other means to improve the hit, you can improve your ballistic skill. Very good. That's what you want as a BS4 army. Principally, I think, especially the higher quality. The armies that are characterized by quality shooting, but not by quality skill. You know, the Guard, the Tau, now the Votan, and AdMech especially. I really feel they should have the means to improve their ballistic skill through some system to allow them some wiggle room to perform at that efficient, deadly standard of the elite armies. And it's limited, right? It's limited by the system you give them. In this case, you have take aim, right? I think that's good. I think Tau got a BS improvement as well on marker lights, but Votan did not, which I didn't like to see. They got a +1 to hit, which just won't stack as well. Is what it is. Okay, first rank fire, second rank fire, improve the attacks of rapid fire weapons by 1. Okay, that's pretty cool. Take cover. Take cover. Improve the save characteristic of models in this unit by 1. Cannot improve more than 3+. And duty and honor. +1 leadership and +1 objective control. Nice. That's really good. Really good for snaking away objectives. Because these are in your command phase, right? Yeah. And Born Soldiers. Very similarly to the Emperor's Chosen's Aegis of the Emperor. To give a feel of pain to the Custodes, you have the lethal hits for Born Soldiers returning as the detachment rule. It was the go-to pick from the previous book, but I don't know if it required you to remain stationary. I feel like that wasn't the case. Requiring you to remain stationary is certainly a hefty trade-off for the ability now. I wonder, there's no means here to count as stationary, right? I'm not spotting any. Okay, Astra Militarum Combined Regiment Detachments. So you have reinforcements, which I think is the one previewed on Warhammer Community. 1 regiment unit from your army that was destroyed. Add a new unit to your army identical to the destroyed unit in strategic reserves at a starting strength. It costs 2 command points, but it's a free unit. And it's 1 regiment unit, which I believe is... yeah, what's the regiment keyword? Because it's no longer a sub-faction. Bracket, insert your regiment here. Well, that context will be defined later. I suspect it's probably not vehicles, but probably units that are deployed on the ground. Infantry style, probably. Okay, so you get that unit back for 2 CP in any phase. It does not return the character which was attached. Fair enough. Suppression fire. 1 command point in your shooting phase. 1 Astra Militarum infantry unit from your army that has not been selected to shoot this phase. And 1 enemy unit, excluding monsters or vehicles. Oh, you... suppressing fire. I just think of that meme from Archer. Yeah, so you can do suppressing fire and give them a -1 to hit. That's pretty cool. Cool. You got Fields of Fire for 2 CP, another expensive one. A regiment or squadron unit from your army that has not been selected to shoot. After your unit has resolved its attack, select 1 enemy unit that was targeted by 1 or more of those attacks until the end of the phase. Each time an attack is made against that enemy unit by a regiment or squadron model from your army, unless the attacking unit is battle shocked. Okay, so you lose the ability, or you can't participate. It's an army-wide perk to improve the AP of 1 against a specific target. But if you're battle shocked, you don't get to participate in that perk. I'm glad someone got that reference. My Archer reference. Okay, Expert Bombardiers. 1 command point, shooting phase. At the start of your shooting phase, 1 Astra Militarum unit from your army equipped with a Voxcaster, and 1 enemy unit that is visible to that unit. Until the end of the phase, each time an Astra Militarum model from your army makes an attack with an indirect fire weapon that targets that enemy unit, unless the attacking model is battle shocked. Oh, again, that restriction's coming up. Add 1 to the hit roll. So you can circumvent the indirect penalties there with this Expert Bombardiers for 1 CP strat. That's 1 Astra Militarum unit with a Voxcaster, and that's kind of thematic, right? The unit with the Voxcaster kind of radios in. We got a tasty target over here, and then everyone else has +1 to hit unless they're battle shocked. 1 CP Inspired Command used in the command phase. Oh no, it's your opponent's command phase. Right, because it's red. That's how these color codings work. One Astra Militarum officer from your army. Okay, that officer can issue an order as if it were your command phase. Oh, nice! So for one command point, you can swap up your order. Your officer cannot issue that order to a battle-shocked unit. Interesting. That certainly gives you some play. And 2 command points. They have a lot of 2 CP stratagems. We got 1, 2... Half of their stratagems are 2 command points. But they might have more means to regenerate them. We'll have to see. Or have those characters... Yeah, it's actually somewhat of a moot point. Sometimes you get those characters with abilities that just let you strats for free, so... I have to wait and see on that. Okay, so... In your opponent's shooting phase, just after an enemy unit has selected their targets, you can select a vehicle unit from your army, -1 damage. Right, so your vehicles. The opposite of the Custodes. They can't use their -1 damage on their vehicles, but Guard invert that. It's their infantry are all 1 wound guys, so that makes sense. That makes the sense. Okay. Enhancements. Death Mask of Olanius. Olanius the Pious. Okay, officer model only. The bearer's unit is... While the bearer's unit is battle shocked, subtract 1 from the objective control characteristic of models from the unit instead of changing it to 0. That could be very good. Well, yeah, I think we'll deny you from being battle shocked. Circumstantial. It's only a guardsman squad, right, that you'd be leading, I assume. I don't have enough context. Just gotta keep that in mind and move on. Drill commanders for an officer only again. While the bearer's leading a unit, each time a model in that unit makes a ranged attack, if that unit remains stationary, a critical hit is scored on hit rolls of 5. So same restriction as Born Soldiers. And it's a Born Soldiers... it's a combined regiment enhancement, so it makes sense it's feeding into that, which is nice to see. Some logical rules writing. You meet the restriction, you have a bit better Born Soldiers chances. Well, double. Pretty significant. Kurob's Aquila. Officer model only, once per battle, just after your opponent uses a stratagem. The bearer can use this enhancement if it does. Oh, wow. Right there, just part of your toolkit. Yeah, so that's going to be, every time you play the Guard, they're probably going to take your favorite strat and make it cost +1. Well, you know what? I think I'm okay with that. Certainly interesting. And Grand Strategist. This enhancement gives that officer 1 additional order. Simple enough. This is a pretty awesome artwork here. Feels very grim. Okay, Lord Solar Leontus on his mechanical steed. T4, tough as a Space Marine, with the armor save of a Space Marine, with 8 wounds, 12 movement. He is mounted, of course. Oh, he's a leader. What does he lead? Oh, it's not horses only. Okay. He leads whatever he wants. And horses. Okay. Okay, Saul's Righteous Gaze. That's a good pistol. Strength 8. Jesus. His pistol's like a thunderhammer. My God. Conquest. Okay, and his horse does extra attacks. So Sword Conquest is 6 attacks, strength 6, AP 2 damage, which is not bad. But he's not a beatstick fighter, right? He's more support oriented. So let's see what he does. At the start of your command phase, if this model's on the battlefield, you gain 1 CP. Okay, so an extra CP. Well, you got him. And after both players have deployed their army, select up to 3 Astra Militarum units from your army and redeploy them. When doing so, you can set those units up in strategic reserves if you wish, regardless of how many units are already in strategic reserves. That is a very good ability. I'm pretty sure that's what he does now, maybe? I'm so unfamiliar with Guard. I shouldn't even try and make those those guesses. Uh, yeah, but having him will allow you to win deployment. And he issues 3 orders to Astra Militarum units, which is your faction keyword. So basically anything you want. He joins the horses, shock troops, so all the variants of your infantry squads, and Kasserkin. Ursula. Now here's a commander I can get behind. T3, say 4, 6 inches movement. Duty and vengeance are her pistols. Oh, look at that. Dual wielding her pistols. What a badass. 4 attacks. 5 -2, 1 damage. Pretty good. Okay, so while this model is leading unit, that unit can be affected by up to 2 different orders at the same time. That's a potent exception. What can she lead? Okay. Canadian shock troops, infantry squad, and Kasserkin. And tactical genius. Once per battle round, 1 unit from your army within 12 inches of this model can be targeted with a stratagem for 0 CP. Okay, so she has the rights of battle, but she has it, I believe, Hive Tyrant style, where she can just throw it out to whatever unit, not just the one she's leading. That's pretty potent, and she can do 2 orders, so she could issue both her orders to her unit if she wants to. And then give them a strat for 0 CP. Gotta see how the Kasserkin are looking. I wonder if they're as busted as they were in 9th edition. Sly Marbo. Another very cool character. T3, 5+. Ripper Pistol. Precision. I like it. He is the assassin. The killer. So 3 attacks, 12-inch range. 5 -1, 2 damage. Oh, nice and convenient to roll those 2 attacks. Look at that. Nice to see 2-up skill for the guard characters also. Anti-infantry 2+ with his envenomed blade. Yep, he could put on the hurt to some characters, that's for sure. He's got lone operative, very good stealth, so he can infiltrate, and he has lone operative. So no deep strike though. Okay. -1 to hit from stealth. 1-man army. Each time an enemy unit targets a friendly Astra Militarum unit within 3 inches of this model with ranged attacks, after the enemy unit has finished making its attacks, this model can shoot as if it were your shooting phase. Oh, that's very cool. But I have to remind myself, this happened when we looked at, which faction was it? Perhaps it was Space Marines, or maybe Chaos Space Marines. He only has 12 inches range, so it's not the biggest get. It's not like the Landspeeder Vengeance. Like fighting a shadow, each time this model has shot, if it is not within engagement range of any enemy units, it can make a normal move, as if it were your movement phase. If it does, it is not eligible to declare a charge. Okay, fair enough. He can move, shoot, move, and not charge for that utility. Seems fair. He cannot be your warlord. He's too busy doing secret missions. Iron Hand Strachan. Auto shotgun. Oh, badass. Like 3 shots and 12 inches. Very cool. Bionic arms with Devil's Claw. Anti-monster 4+. With AP2, which is... It's alright. That's not terrible. 6 attacks, weapon skill 2. Wounding all monsters on 4+. Voice of command. He's got leader and scouts. 6 inches. He can lead jungle fighters, of course. Cold Steel and Courage. While this model's leading a unit, melee weapons equipped by models in that unit have the lethal hits ability. So now I'll have to check. What does the melee attack... Oh, it's weapon skill +1. Fixed bayonets is weapon skill +1. Look at me trying to see the melee guard synergies. Oh, yeah, we're in Epic Heroes still. Okay, and been there, seen it, killed it. Each time this model makes a melee attack, if you made a charge move this turn, you can reroll the hit roll and you can reroll the wound roll. That's just for him, though, not his unit. And you can issue 2 orders to regiment units. And Sergeant Harker. Another badass Catachan character. His weapon named Payback. It's so 80s action hero. 5-up save because he's got no shirt. 3 shots, yeah. Heavy bolter, but he fires at BS3, which is awesome. Very cool. He leads Catachan Jungle Fighters. Yep. 6-up Feel No Pain. He also has Scouts. So Harker's Hellraisers. While this model is leading a unit, each time a ranged attack targets that unit, if the attacking model is more than 12 inches away, subtract 1 from the hit roll. Okay. So he gives them a little bit of a defensive buff to that unit of Jungle Fighters. Payback time. That sounds fun already. Once per battle, when this model is selected to shoot, you can use this ability. And if it does until the end of the phase, its payback weapon has an attack characteristic of 6, and the sustained hits 3 instead of sustained hits 1. That's just a fun ability, right? Come on. How can you not love that? Okay, Gaunt's Ghost. Yeah, this is a newer kit. Definitely see the disparity in the model quality there. But I mean, even though he's old, he hasn't aged poorly at all. Okay, so we have the Tanith Ghost has this stat line here: 2 wounds each, uncharacteristic, and 3 wounds for Ibram Gaunt. Wow, fights first, infiltrators, lone operative. A lone operative squad. How big is the squad? Okay, it's a squad of 6 models with lone operative. Okay, Tanith Camo Cloaks, give them the benefit of cover. And Covert Stealth Team, at the end of your opponent's turn, if this unit is not within engagement range of 1 or more enemy units, you can remove it from the battlefield and then set it up. Yes. Yeah, that's another ability we're seeing repeatedly. It's the Alaris Terminators style reinforcements. Pull the unit off at the end of your opponent's turn if it's not within engagement range, and set it back up on your next, immediately on your next reinforcements phase. I just saw your comment there, Travis. That is a little bit of a shame now that you've pointed it out. Yeah, you'll have to excuse my inability to see the subtleties here because, yeah, you aren't wrong. That is a little bit of a bummer. He should have a Feel No Pain at least, right? I don't know, he has the Feel No Pain. I guess the Iron Hands and AdMech got it backwards. It's just better to have big muscles. Never mind, Bionics. Okay, so this unit's officer can issue 2 units, and the officer is Ibram Gaunt, of course. You can issue 2 orders to Regiment or Gaunt's Ghosts units, so give an order to his own unit, of course. We have a whole bunch of different war gear options here. So Gaunt has his own chainsword. Oh man, these are all special weapons. Okay, they're all the same guy. We'll just have to... So someone has... Oh, it's probably this guy here with his silver knife. With precision and devastating wounds. Last carbine, 3 shots. 24 inches with sustained hits. But sustained hits what? It's sustained hits 0, guys. Sorry, you generate nothing. You generate nothing on a crit of 6. Jeez, I'm assuming it's sustained hits 1. Corbeck's Hotshot Las Carbine. I get the feeling this is like a dream team for fans of the Gaunt's Ghost series. And I just can't appreciate it because I am unenlightened. Nork Deadog. Okay, Feel No Pain 5+ on a T6 Astra Motorum character. Save 4+. 6-inch move. Ripper Gun. Sustained hits. Okay, so a Ripper Gun is basically a heavy bolter. Is that what this is? With worse range? And he's got a huge knife. Devastating wounds, of course. 8 -1, 2 damage. That's high strength for a knife. But he's a big boy, so it makes sense. Ogren Bodyguard. While one or more officer models are in the same unit as this model, those officer models have the Feel No Pain 4+ ability. So he has his own 5+, but he'll give him a Feel No Pain against precision attacks. Which is, I think that's a cool, very nifty design space afforded by 10th edition's leader and bodyguard units interactions. Thunderous Headbutt. Each time this model's unit is selected to fight, you can select one enemy unit within engagement range of this model, and roll 1d6. On a 2 to 5, that enemy unit suffers d3 mortal wounds from his headbutt. And on a 6, they suffer d3 plus 3 mortal wounds. Wow. And it's not just infantry. He could headbutt a knight and just give it a good old d3 plus 3 mortal wounds. Yeah, and it's selected to fight, so it gives you some defensive play as well, right? They charged you, they're going to fight first. You could just say headbutt and potentially cripple them a little bit. That's funny. Yeah, how does he work? So, Loyal Protector. At the start of the Declare Battle Formation step, this model must join a command squad unit from your army. Okay. And you cannot have more than one Loyal Protector in a command squad. This model counts as part of that squad for the rest of the battle, and its starting strength is increased accordingly. If it's not possible to join this model to a command squad, it does not take part in the battle and counts as having been destroyed. Wow, okay. While this model is joined to a unit, it can embark within any transport that unit can embark within, and takes up the space of 3 models. See, here we have a situation where a GW is more than happy to just let whatever they want enter whatever they want. And it drives me up the wall when, like, our Primaris units can't go in a Rhino, like, at all. Like, it's so stupid. You gotta house rule what they fucking neglect. Okay, so we're off our epic heroes. We're over to regular command. We have a Castellan, Acadian Castellan. So he can do 1 order to a regiment unit. I think the weapons, I'm assuming on most units, are going to be pretty usual suspects. There might be some exceptions on Kasserkin, perhaps. Okay, anyways, Senior Officer. While this model's leading unit, ranged weapons have sustained hits. Okay, so you have sustained hits and born soldiers. If you stand still. What can you lead? Yeah, Kasserkin, infantry, shock troops. Get back in the fight. While this model's leading a unit, that unit is eligible to shoot in a turn which you fall back. Awesome ability. Awesome. 5 up invuln from the refractor field. Oh, is that right, Grimdankness? Helbrecht has an even stronger headbutt. We should call those abilities they're all headbutt abilities henceforth. Cadian command squad. Okay. I'm very jealous of the command squads. They're so cool. Your Vox guy, your Banner guy. Alright, the ability is Cadia Stands. While this unit contains a Cadian officer, you can ignore any or all modifiers to the characteristics of models in this unit, and to any roll or test made for models excluding saving throws. The Vox, the Master Vox, each time the officer in the bearer's unit issues an order, it can issue it to an eligible unit up to 24 inches away. Okay, so you can boost your order reachability, get more flexibility in there. Medipack gives the unit a 6 up feel no pain. Oh, interesting. So you have a 6 up feel no pain, the bear's unit, and Norg, or Nork. What did Nork do? Oh, a 4 up feel no pain for the officer. Yeah, it's a sizable increase. 1 to the objective control with the banner. It actually feels so satisfying that banners across the board seem to just have so much more impact. At least, going into the edition, I feel this way. Because banners are epic. Weapons seem pretty basic. Hey, Flight of Icarus, how's it going, dude? Thanks for stopping by. Okay, a platoon command squad. So what's our difference here? Still got the same specialty guys with their war gear. Command structure. Okay, the aura is different. While a friendly platoon unit is within 6 inches of this platoon's commander. Interesting. So not the unit, just that one model. You can target that unit with stratagems even while it's battle shocked. Oh, that's a pretty cool exception. Pretty nifty. Is it better than... I don't know if it's... depends. It's probably matchup dependent and like army composition dependent. Whether or not... I should end this poll now that we're here. Okay, the poll has ended. Yeah, I like the platoon squad more, I think. Perhaps it's more useful in more circumstances. At least based on the abilities alone. I don't know if there's a compositional difference. Platoon commander and 4 veteran guardsmen. There's a lot going on here. I'm very unfamiliar with it, with Imperial Guard. 1 veteran heavy weapons team, 2 veteran guardsmen. Oh, I see, because it's a newer kit. That's why. That's why. It's just like the Firstborn stuff, just much more complicated with all the legacy options. Regimental attaches. Okay, so bunch of 1 wound guys at the start of your shooting. What's the composition here? Okay, so it contains 1 of each of them. Artillery commander, at the start of your shooting phase, select 1 enemy unit within 30 inches of invisible to this unit's Master of Ordnance model that has not already been selected for this ability this phase. Until the end of the phase, blast weapons equipped by friendly Astra Militarum artillery models have the sustained hits 1 ability while targeting that unit. Okay, so regardless of his position relative to them. But this dude has to go out and be able to see the enemy. Sustained hits 1 is a pretty efficiency boosting perk. I don't think you have the means to put it on with like an order, right? Nope. You don't. You have better ballistic skill and more quantity for rapid fire shooting. Where's our attaches? There it is. Okay, the Aeronautica commander. Oh. At the start of your shooting phase, select one enemy unit within 30 inches of and visible to this unit's officer of the fleet model. Until the end of the phase, each time a friendly astromilitary aircraft model makes a ranged attack that targets that unit, add 1 to the hit roll. Okay, so he benefits your aircraft regardless of where they're positioned, working similarly to the artillery commander. And the divination psychic ability from the astropath, is that what it was? Yeah, the astropath. It is kind of cool to see an astropath novel. Or sorry, it is somewhat novel to see an astropath model. His ability, divination. Enemy units that are set up on the battlefield as reinforcements cannot be set up within 12 inches of this unit's astropath model. Oh, that's pretty sweet. A little bit of an omni-scrambler situation for the unit they are attached to, which is, right, a command squad. And it seems to follow the same sort of restrictions we saw for the loyal protectors. Very cool. Oh, here's an Ogren bodyguard, also a loyal protector. Yep. So, save 5+, T6, built in a 6-up feel no pain. Ogren bodyguard, yep, same ability as Nork Deadog. Redoubled loyalty. While this model's unit contains an officer model that has lost 1 or more wound, each time this model makes a melee attack, add 1 to the hit and 1 to the wound roll. Okay. Doesn't seem very straightforward of an interaction. He'd have to suffer some precision attacks, or I suppose... I'm not even sure if you're able... Are you allowed to allocate attacks onto a leader if he's in a bodyguard unit? Where would that be? In the core rules. Oh my god, I have to do a lot of searching. Okay. Oh, easy enough. Okay, attached units. For the purposes of rules that are triggered when a unit is destroyed, such rules are still triggered when one of the individual units that made up the attached unit is destroyed, the leader or the bodyguard. Okay, that doesn't help me. Might make for a boring stream if I just persistently, or just continue to keep digging for this. We'll move on. Redoubled loyalty, we read that. Brute shield is a 4-up invulnerable save and own characteristic of 7 with the slab shield. Okay, so there's quite a defensive drop on the Ogren bodyguard, right? Because don't they have something crazy right now, like a 2-up, 4-up? So now you're stuck with your 5-up by the looks of it. Interesting. Tank commander. Okay, so tank commander's in a... Yeah, the Lehman Russ battle tank. And you can switch it for whatever you want. Makes sense. You can issue one order to squadron units. Each time this model issues an order, it can issue it, okay, to an eligible unit up to 12 inches away. Death befitting an officer with models destroyed. Roll a d6 on a 2-up and remove from play. It can, after the attacking model unit has finished making its attacks, shoot as if it were your shooting phase. And as if it has full wounds remaining. That's pretty awesome. Very thematic. And the weapon profiles for all the Leman RS options are not here. I can't, I'm so unfamiliar with Guard, I can't really weigh in on if he's better or worse of a stat line. I mean, it's nice he doesn't degrade as poorly, but the BS is pretty BS. Pretty sure he had 3-up ballistic skill, the tank commander. Pretty sure that's how he rolled before. I mean, everything's, well, actually not. None of this is heavy. Because heavy's not bad. Like, because heavy would get you back to a 3+, and it would stack with your born soldiers. So it has a, you know, a layered benefit. You're getting 2 benefits for that cost of staying still. But staying still is still a steep price. Oh, Commissar. Looking good with that new model. Jeez. Summary execution. Okay, this is important. Once per battle round, at the start of any phase, you can select one friendly Astra Militarum infantry unit that is battle shocked and within 12 inches of this model. If you do, one model in that unit is destroyed, and that unit is no longer battle shocked. Chef's kiss. It's like perfect. 12 inches because of his 12-inch range bolt pistol. It's not just the unit he's leading, right? It works. And it works quite well. Removes battle shock. And it's once per battle round, which is I think better than the chaplain. Right? What's a chaplain? Just once per battle. Yeah, right? Which I don't have a problem with. I mean, Space Marines are less likely to have battle shock issues anyways. And this guy should be killing people whenever he has to. Gotta keep the men in line. And political overwatch. While another officer model is in the same unit as this model, you can reroll battle shock tests taken for that unit. Nice. That's fun. You can issue one order to a regiment unit. This officer can only issue duty and honor and fixed bayonets orders. Okay. So we have our first guy who's limited in what he can, in which orders he can issue, I think. Primaris Psyker. Psychic. Okay, Psychic spells D6, supercharge to. They have Blast. It has innately, it has Blast. That's good for a D6 attack. Psychic power. And you get +3 shots with +1 damage. Not bad. Not bad for the hazardous profile. While this model is leading a unit, models in that unit have a Feel No Pain 4+ against psychic attacks. Oh, okay, a little bit of a Psychic Hood type ability. And his other power, Psychic Barrier. At the start of your opponent's shooting phase, you can roll 1d6 on a 1. This Psyker's unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. And on a 2+ until the end of the phase, models in this Psyker's unit have a 4-up invulnerable save. Oh, that's pretty spicy. It is only for a guardsman, though, right? Oh, look, he can join Scions, too. And Casterkin. them an invuln if they are the workhorses they were in 9th. Okay, we have a Regimental Preacher. War Hymns. While this model's leading a unit, melee weapons equipped by models in this unit have sustained hits 1. And holy... Well, what does he lead? What does he lead? Okay, your normal boots on the ground, battle line style units. Well, they might not be battle line, right? Kasserkin are probably too elite. Holy Piety. Each time this model makes a melee attack, unless this model's unit is battle shocked, you can reroll the hit roll. Okay, well, it's a little something for him. Regimental Engineer. Seems to be pretty much in line with the usual repair tech marines, warpsmiths we've seen. More tech marine in line with that. It makes sense because of the Mars priesthood training. If a friendly Astro Militarum vehicle model is destroyed within 12 inches of this model until the end of the battle, this model's Engineer axe has an attacks characteristic of 6. So you double your attacks if a friendly vehicle is destroyed. Because he's just so pissed that the vehicle he's been trying to repair has been destroyed. Oh, look at this. This is really good. Okay, Omnisci's Blessing. At the start of your command phase, select one friendly Astro Militarum vehicle model within 3 inches of this model. That vehicle model regains up to D3 lost wounds. So far, that's pretty much in line with the Tech Marine, I'm pretty sure. That vehicle model, then, at the start of your next, until the start of your next command phase, that vehicle model has a 4-up invulnerable save. Each model can only be selected for this ability once per turn. Wow, this little guy can give a 4-up invulnerable save to a vehicle? That's madness. That's so good. Well, I'm sure the Tech Marine isn't doing that, right? Yeah, he just +1 to hit. Go back to Mars, bro. Learn how to do that invulnerable save. Jeez. Why? I wonder if that's how the AdMech are, too. Could be. Could be that's what the Tech Priest Engineer has, and it's just an Engineer type perk. And he has the usual repair ability that we've seen on the Tech Marine and Warpsmith. If you get lone operative if you're within 3 inches of a vehicle. A friendly vehicle, that is. Yes, Flight of Icarus, you're right. He can put it on a Baneblade. Oh my god. 4-up invulnerable save. It's in your command phase, so I hope you go first. Well, I guess you could just strategic reserves them both. But then you have a lot of points not coming on the board until the bottom of turn 2. Maybe it's worth it though. I don't know. Servitors are mind locked. Yeah, I saw some people in my Discord comparing the amount of servitors. It's kind of funny. There's so many different types of servitors. Mind lock while he's within. While the Engineer is leading the servitors, which he can lead them. So while they're being led, they have increased ballistic skill and weapon skill, but they start at BS6. Okay, so now we're back to, we're done with our command units. Or we're making our way through. Cadian Shock Troops. They were previewed on Warhammer Community. Shock Troops gives you Sticky Obsec. Very cool. These guys like to well, they're shock troops. They want to go forward and blast the enemies away and take their objectives. Grab objectives and keep them for you. Boxcaster. So every Boxcaster unit, you get a chance of a CP. Not a CP refund. You gain 1 CP on a 5-up. And I'm pretty sure we determined on one of our previous streams that CP gaining is capped at +1 for the round. So, I mean, yeah, you're just rolling for the chance, right? Rolling for the chance of maybe getting that CP back. A 2-unit. How do the guard purists feel about this, like, a larger squad size? It feels very awkward. I have 2 leaders attached to it. Okay, that's kind of interesting. That's like as far as perks go, that's pretty cool. And for every 10 models, so you're doubling up on your special and heavy weapons. Because you'd have 2 sergeants, right? 2 sergeants, so weird. Death Corps of Krieg. What's their ability? Each time a model in this unit makes an attack, add 1 to the hit roll if it's below start. Okay, it's like a martyrdom. Very thematic. Yeah, Grim Demeanor is the name of the ability. Very cool. Death Corps Creep meta pack. At the start of the command phase, if the bear's unit is below its starting strength, you can return to D3 destroyed models back to the unit. That's a very strong meta pack. Typically, pretty sure we've seen the Votan, the Helix Adept, and similar. I'm pretty sure it's like a 6-up Feel No Pain. I mean, we can check that easily enough with the Space Marines here. Yeah, 6-up Feel No Pain. Very weird. Someone else also pointed out, and I thought it was very funny, that the cult of death that these guys are a part of, like, they're the regiment that's, like, obsessed with that, and yet they're the regiment that also has the metapack bringing back models from death. It's very funny. I guess so they can give their lives again in service of the Emperor. It's funny either way you slice it, I think. Sniper rifle, looking good. Not rattling good, but much better than they were in 8th and 9th. Catachan Jungle Fighters. Their ability is melee-oriented. Yep, it is. Each time a model in this unit makes a melee attack, if it charged, or if it was charged, okay, not bad. So it's not for prolonged engagements, just for the first battle round. Improve the strength and AP by 1. They have AP 0, so strength 4, AP 1. That's not bad. It's almost like they have chain swords, right? +1 strength and AP 1. And we have the generic infantry squad, Defenders of Humanity. Oh, that's an awesome ability name for the, I don't want to say generic because I feel like that has a negative connotation. But, the bulwark of humanity representing infantry squad, right? The numberless unnamed infantry squads out there. Each time a range attack targets this unit, if it's within range of an objective marker you control, models in this unit have the benefits of cover. That's simple enough. From what I understand, there are some subtleties with the infantry squads, the various infantry squads here, with regards to their war gear options, but I don't feel like parsing through all of it, if I'm honest. Okay, next up are the Kasserkin. Warrior Scouts, 6 inches built in. Oh, did the Catachan have scouts? They did. Okay. Castlekin our warrior elite in your command phase, you can select one order to affect this unit until the start of your next command phase. In addition to any orders issued by this unit, by an officer model in this unit. Okay, nice. So that's pretty good. Double up on orders. And narratively, it's like they're so drilled that they know these orders like the back of their hand. Hotshot marksman rifle. Okay, what's the basic gear of these dudes? Hotshot las pistol, hotshot las gun. Then you got your special options with your melt-a-mine. And the hotshot marksman rifle, which is precision. Yep. Oh, that's not bad. Not bad. Just one guy in the unit, though. Hotshot volley gun. Oh, rapid fire too. 2 attacks base. That feels good for the hotshot volley gun. I think that's a stronger narrative ruling than it was previously. And the hotshot las guns just have, yeah, AP 1, strength 3. Seems fine. Heavy weapon themes. Covering fire. I saw this data sheet when they did that tournament a week or two ago. That was quite interesting. Each time you target the with a fire Overwatch stratagem, while resolving that stratagem, hits are scored on unmodified hit rolls of 5 or unmodified hit rolls of 4+ if it's within 6 inches of one or more friendly platoon units. And platoon units are what? Okay, it's our infantry squads, by the looks of it. So if they're near an infantry squad, they have Overwatch on a 4. So essentially their normal ballistic skill. Well, better than their normal ballistic skill if they happen to have moved. And how big are the squads? Okay, so you have 3 in a group. It's interesting. And I like that these mounted weapons have a more defensive oriented role. It feels pretty suitable. Field ordnance. Oh, look how awesome this model looks, man. T5, 6 wounds. Rearm, reload, fire. While this unit is being affected by an order, provided it remains stationary this turn, all the heavy weapons equipped by models in this unit have the sustained hits ability. Okay, so you probably don't want to move them, generally, because of born soldiers already. So if you're indirect, you're hitting on 5s normally anyways. You could improve it to 4s with the take aim order, but then you're back to hitting on 5s because of the indirect penalties. So really hitting on 5s and 6s with 6 to explode to 2 hits, d6 shots with the blast. I mean, if they're cheap enough, maybe. That heavy last cannon, though. Jeez. It's like, it's stronger than the Godhammer last cannon. That's kind of weird. Yeah, it is. The Godhammer last cannon is strength 12, 2 shots. But the BS is way worse. Ogren Squad. Okay, so we're into these guys. Feel no pain 6+. Okay, so that seems consistent across Ogrens. Point blank barrage. Each time a model in this unit makes a ranged attack that targets the closest eligible target, improve the AP by 1. Nice. Their Ripper guns are AP1, so you get AP2. Rapid fire 3. That's kind of badass. 6 shots per guy. How big are the squads? So 3 to 6. Kind of cool. Look at your Bulgrin squad. Wall of muscle each time. Oh, damage -1. Makes sense for a defensive-oriented wall of muscle type unit. 4 up invuln and 4 wounds each. So the big difference, yeah, these are the guys I was thinking before. I think they had a 2-up save, almost positive. So that's certainly a defensive hit, right? Your armor save is 4-up base. The shield no longer modifies it, or because now it just gives you an extra wound instead. Ratlings. Yeah, these guys look horrific. Terrifying. How many are in a squad? 5. So you have a 5-man unit scampering around, hitting on 3s, or 2s if they remain stationary. God, 1 attack. No mortal wound potential. But still, that's AP2. 2 damage can threaten, like, even I'm thinking like a character without an invuln, even a Space Marine character like a Librarian is what? The Chaplain will have a... Yeah, so a Librarian... The Chaplain will have an invuln, so I was going to say. The Librarian has 4 wounds. So he'd save on 5s? Just if 2 shots slip through, it's a dead Librarian, man. Oh, geez, rattlings. I think it's good, though. I'm really happy to see some threat potential in the Guard's, like, specialty units here. Because I feel it's often is the case. Like, the Imperial Guard just always feel like an army of low-quality everything. And I think that's a mistake from a design point of view. I don't think you want that. I think the basic troops, that's fine, right? Give them some flexibility with orders to kind of compensate for that less than superhuman performance, but you still want their elite tools to be valid. You don't want, oh, here's my sniping unit, but they're just shitty because everything's shitty in my army. Like, I think you want some viability in what you're trying to work with. Just my 2 cents on it. They infiltrate into position and they have stealth, so they're -1 to hit always. I don't think stealth has a restriction for range. I mean, I guess I could check that easily enough now. Where's my core rules? Here it is. Stealth. Ah, there it was. Yep, no limit. That was lone operative I must have been thinking of. Oh, I got the Attilan Rough Riders. Horse Masters. You can ignore any or all modifiers to this unit's move, advance, or charge. That is a suitable ability. In addition, it can shoot and declare a charge in a turn in which it fall back. Wow, fall back and charge. And they got their lance weapons. Oh, Melt-A-Tip. Looking better. Hits on 3s. It's 1 attack. Strength 9, but you're +1 to wound with the lance ability, and you should always be charging on your turn if they're alive with your fall back and charge. AP4, D6. Does only 1 character have the Melt-A-Lance? So every model has the hunting lance. And one model's hunting lance can be replaced with a goad lance. And the sergeant can be given a power saber. So where is the... How do you use the Melta lance? Am I missing something? Oh, I'm fucking retarded. Yeah, there it is. Okay. It's a multi-profiled weapon. Duh. Okay, we're shifting up the next section, the armory. Cool, 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 cool. Scout Sentinels have a scout move of 9. Very good. They move 10 already. Deadly Demise 1. Daring Recon. At the start of your shooting phase, select one enemy unit within 18 inches of and visible to this unit. Until the end of the phase, each time a friendly Astra Militarum model makes an attack that targets that unit, reroll a hit roll of 1, and if that attack has the indirect fire ability, it does not suffer the penalty to hit for shooting that target. For shooting at a target that is not visible to the attacking unit. So ignore the -1 to hit from indirect. That's how that works, right? Shooting phase, weapon abilities, indirect is here, right? Yep, indirect weapons have -1 to the hit roll. Pretty cool. Yeah, the scout's gonna scout out some targets. And army-wide, you know, it doesn't matter where they're positioned. It's just if you have an indirect weapon, or actually, it doesn't even matter. Any Astra Militarum model that makes an attack against that unit rerolls hit rolls of 1, and indirect weapons ignore that penalty. That could be very interesting. Does that circumvent the feels I was associating with the field ordnance? Because you have sustained hits, then you'd be hitting on 5s, and then you could take aim that unit to hit on 4s. So hitting on 4s, rerolling 1 because of the Scout Sentinel. And you have hit rolls of 6, score 1 additional hit, plus Born Soldiers, giving some of those initial rolls auto wound. That's kind of interesting. Scout Sentinels definitely seem to have a utility. And yeah, like you kind of want that scout movement for... It's not forward deploy though, so it doesn't protect you against other people who are forward deploying, but it can help screen out people who are trying to come at you turn 1, either way. Okay, Armored Sentinel should be next. There it is. Mobile Hunter Killers. Oh, what a model, man. They just... Armored Sentinels look so good. Anyways, the ability Mobile Hunter Killers. Each time a model in this unit... Oh, how many are in a unit? 1 to 3. I guess that's the same for Scouts, yeah. Each time a model in this unit makes an attack that targets a monster or vehicle unit, you can reroll the wound. Wow, okay. So, you're still hitting on 4s across the board, but if you do hit, you're going to reroll the wound roll. Doesn't really stack well with Born Soldiers, but because you might actually... I mean... It's fine. It's not making you less efficient. Like, they're not fighting against each other. They're just not helping each other either. Okay, Armored Sentinels. Oh, what's the toughness difference on 8 to 7? Nice that there's light vehicles. Like, it's nice that the light vehicles are still able to be, like, Melta-guns really have a viable target against them, because a lot of people were kind of concerned, are all vehicles going up to beyond T9? Or T9 and above? The Hellhound. Flush them out. In your shooting phase, after this model has shot, select one enemy unit that was hit by one or more of those attacks. It auto-hits, does it not? Yeah. Inferno Cannon. Yep. That unit cannot claim the benefit of cover. Pretty good. I don't know. T10 Chimeras. That's something. 2-up save. I don't know if that's new. That seems pretty good. Moves 10. 18 inch. Oh, 18 inches on that. Wow. Lehman Russ battle tank. Okay, so we have arrived. We have arrived at the area of of this index that kind of, I guess you could say, it triggered me to a degree. But I was completely baffled that Carnifexes have 1 datasheet and Lehman Russes have 7 for all their different options. But the Carnifex can't even have 2 for the enhanced senses, or the plate with the spores, or the thornbacks. Those are of less consequence to me. I think the big one is the enhanced senses, because that's like a whole type of Carnifex. That's your DAC effects, right? That's the whole build of the DAC effects is dependent on that enhanced senses. Anyways, kills me that there's 7, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Lehman Russ datasheets. Unless I missed a bookmark one, in which case there's more. But, God. It's like, what? Why? I mean, I'm not poo-pooing Guard here, but why could the Carnifex not have 2, even? It's so disappointing. Anyways, from what I gather, most of the Lehman Russes... Oh, the abilities are all different. Okay. So normally the top turret is what's changing. I think that's how they work on each of these data sheets. The primary turret weapon is different, and the ability is also different. Right. So... the Lehman Russ battle tank, by default, has the Lehman Russ battle cannon. This is the one that was previewed on Warhammer Community. D6 plus 3 with blast, hitting on 4s. 10 minus 1, 3 damage. Anytime this model makes an attack that targets an enemy unit, reroll a hit roll of 1, and if you're within range of an objective marker you do not control, you can reroll the hit roll instead. So that really shores up the... it's for just obliterating units off of objectives. Shores up the Imperial Guard weakness of poor ballistic skill quite a bit. AP1 isn't tremendous if you're thinking about Space Marines who are in cover, probably saving on 3 still. But each one saved is a dead guy for sure. Or odds are anyways, even with a 6-up feel no pain or something. Okay, what's the next one? The Punisher. With the Gatling cannon. 20 shots hitting on 4s. Yeah, 6, 0, 1. Mow down the enemy. Each time this model makes an attack with its Punisher Gatling cannon that targets an enemy unit, excluding monsters and vehicles, that attack has devastating wounds. Wow, so... you know, 20 shots, let's say it's perfectly average and you hit with 10. A third, or a 6th of those will be devastating wounds. I don't know if that's that good. Is there some synergies I'm missing? Perhaps an order. You can get better ballistic skill with an order. You can get rapid fire plus 1 attack. The Eradicator. This is one I don't come up against too often on the table. Eradicator Nova Cannon's blast ignores cover. AP 1, damage 2. So is this... It has a more reliable quantity than the Lehman Russ battle cannon, but with worse damage and worse strength. But it ignores cover. Urban Warfare is its ability. When making ranged attacks with the Eradicator Nova Cannon, this model can target enemy units within engagement range of it, provided no other friendly units are also within engagement range of that enemy unit. In addition, when making ranged attacks, this model does not suffer the penalty for hit rolls, or to its hit rolls, for being within engagement range of one or more enemy units. I'm gonna get some water. I'll be right back. There we go. Yeah, it seems pretty middling to me. The Lehman Russ Exterminator has a... What is... Oh, the Exterminator autocannons. Rapid fire 4. So it's 8 shots and in 24 inches, rerolling wounds. Strength 9, AP 1 through damage. Well, it's fairly comparable to the normal Lehman Russ, right? Which is... Oh, it's strength 10. Strength 10 minus 1. But with, like, a potential for 9 shots with blast. Whereas this is always going to have 8 shots and not blast, but twin linked. Yeah, it seems less desirable. Withering Hail. In your shooting phase, after this model has shot, select one enemy unit hit by one or more of those attacks made with its Exterminator autocannon. Until the end of the phase, each time a friendly Astra Militarum unit makes an attack that targets that enemy unit, improve the AP characteristic of that attack by 1. The same enemy unit cannot be affected by this ability more than once per phase. That is awesome. That's a good ability. That's a bit of a land speeder Space Marine situation here. Army-wide AP against that lit up target. How about that? Yeah, each time a friendly Astra Militarum unit. Yeah, there's no restrictions within range or unit types. It's just Astra Militarum. There's something to that. And the Executioner, the the hot pick right now. Okay, D6 plus 3 is a good volume of attacks, blast, and hazardous. Strength 8 minus 3 through damage. So strength 8 isn't the premium position in the vehicle world that it is now. I'll be honest, it's a little weird that this giant plasma cannon is sitting at the same strength as a handheld plasma cannon used by infantry. It's my criticism of multi-meltas on vehicles that are clearly bigger. I'm thinking of the ones held by dreadnoughts, for example. Why are you treating it as the same strength? You finally come around to this idea that, oh, vehicles should have higher toughness and vehicle weapons should be able to go into vehicles. So why can't this vehicle grade plasma gun be effective, or at least more effective than the... I don't know, I'm assuming the, like, what's a Hellblaster squad? Right, a Hellblaster squad is strength 8. So it has 1 damage more on the supercharged profile, right? Let's check a Devastator squad, actually. Oh, plasma gun's not here. I want to see a plasma cannon, because I'm wondering if a plasma cannon is... higher or lower, or more damage anyways. So that would be under Armory? Nope. Be under this Armory card. Plasma Cannon is strength 8. Okay, so it's the same. Okay, well, It kind of softens my point a little bit, because it at least has one extra damage more, at the very least. Okay, so let's see the ability here. Gung-Ho Executioners. Each time this model makes an attack with its Executioner Plasma Cannon that targets a unit that is below half strength, add 1 to the hit roll. So that's pretty good. You would save yourself from using the Take Aim order, or you could use that to combat someone's -1 to hit and still hit on 3s. But only if you're below half strength. There's a similar rule with the Repulsor Executioner for the Space Marines. Right, Executioner. Yeah, when making an attack that targets a unit that's below half strength, add 1 to the hit roll. So it seems GW has discovered the word Executioner and have decided to give things with that name that kind of ability. I don't know. Okay, next with the Demolisher. Yeah, Demolisher Cannon's looking pretty good. 4 to 10, or sorry, 4 to 9 shots with blast. 14 minus 3d6. Yep, it's you can get damage 1, unlike with last cannons. But it's a good volume with really good strength. Linebreaker. When making range attacks with its Demolisher Battle Cannon, this model can target enemy units within engagement range, provided no friendly units are also within engagement range. Okay, so it's the same ability as the... Oh, is Exterminator? Nope, the Eradicator. Yeah, it looks to be the case. Yeah, Demolisher Cannon's looking pretty good. And Vanquisher. Vanquisher Cannon is here. 72 inches, strength 18, -4. Well, that's quite a gun. Jeez. It hits on 4s, but it's 1. It's the dreaded heavy 1. Right? Tank Killer. Each time this model makes a ranged attack with a Vanquisher Cannon that targets a monster or a vehicle, you can re-roll the wound roll. Well, whoop-de-doo. That's not the part you're going to struggle to do. It's hitting the target, right? It's too bad. Would it be too strong to re-roll the hit? You still only have 1 shot on a 4. Right? You give it a take aim to hit on a 3. And then if you stand still, you could hit on 2s, because now you're... Because I'm pretty certain take aim is a ballistic skill, right? Yes, it is ballistic skill. So that would stack with your +1. So that's not too bad, actually. But you do have to stay still, and you do have to give it one of your orders. That has some interesting interactions with indirect weapons. Sorry, the ordnance, the artillery pieces that we're about to go to. Then they could have greatly overcome that barrier of poor ballistic skill and -1 to hit. Have a few scout sentinels and you would ignore it anyways. That's pretty good. Anyways, let's move on. Rogel Dorn. Oh, the new tank. Such an awesome model. Ablative plating. Once per battle, when an attack is allocated to this model, you can just change the damage to 0. Awesome for those. Awesome if you're shot by a Vanquisher Battle Cannon. Okay, so you have so many options here. Not extremely. You got the Oppressor Cannon is strength 12, d6 +3 -2, 2 damage. That seems pretty good. What are your options here? Your Oppressor Cannon or the Coaxial Autocannon. And the Coaxial Autocannon is 2 attacks, strength 9 -1 through damage. I feel like the Oppressor Cannon is just the go-to, right? And the Castigator Gatling or the Pulverizer? Oh yeah, these two. These two are real good. Both 3 damage. Decent volume between them both. Okay, Basilisk, Earthshaker rounds. I'm familiar with this. It does the -2 to move, advance, and charge. I like the I like the design space afforded to these indirect weapons. The stats are quite good in this particular case, but I like the idea that the value is in the ability associated with the indirect rather than the value being the attack itself, and then you have all those problems with indirect that we had in 9th edition where it's, oh, you're shooting me, but I can't shoot at you. That's you're ignoring the terrain on the table, I'm not, and you get this very distasteful interaction. But I like abilities like Earthshaker rounds. I think it's a step in the right direction for indirect. But that profile is not terrible. Because you could give it take aim to hit on 3s, and you could give it +1 to hit. Because it's heavy. Yeah, it's heavy with 240 inches range, so you're going to have +1. Pretty spicy. Manticore has Furious Barrage. Each time this model makes an attack with its Storm Eagle rockets that target an enemy unit that can hit 5 or more models, you can reroll the hit roll. And the Storm Eagle rockets are blast heavy indirect. So this thing also hitting 120 inches range. It's going to be hitting on 3s with a +1. And you can make its BS, so it take aim if you wanted to as well. D6 +1 attacks. You can reroll the hit roll. So this can be very reliable, actually. Looks awesome, too. Strength 10, -2, 3 damage. Not bad. The Death Strike. Okay, so the Death Strike has changed yet again. It's similar. It's similar to the previous iteration in that you have to basically wait a turn. Before you can use the weapon, you have to place a marker. Yeah, you basically place a marker and, well, you know what, I'll just read it. Death Strike Missile. In your shooting phase, each time this model is selected to shoot, if it has not shot with its Death Strike Missile this battle, you can do one of the following in addition to resolving this model's ranged attacks. Either you designate target, which is if this model does not have a Death Strike target marker on the battlefield, place a Death Strike target marker on the anywhere on the battlefield, just wherever you want. Or you can adjust the target. If this model has a Death Strike target marker on the battlefield, move that marker anywhere else on the battlefield. And then under the Death Strike's weapon profile, under Plasma Warhead, the bear can only shoot with this weapon in your shooting phase. The bear can only shoot with this weapon in your shooting phase, and only if it remains stationary this turn and you did not use the Death Strike Missile ability to designate a target or adjust the target in this shooting phase. So that marker has to already be there from the turn before. I guess representing the missile flying off in the sky to its target, right? When the bearer shoots with this weapon, do not select a target. Instead, resolve the weapon's attacks, rolling for each unit within 6 inches of the center of the Death Strike target marker individually. And it can really pop off because it has 2d6 attacks, hits on 2s, so most of those attacks are going to trickle through. It's strength 16, AP 4, and 1 damage. This is the kind of profile I really like to simulate explosions, where you have high volume, but it's 1 damage, and then the severity of an explosion can just be ascribed to the AP. And I suppose the strength as well. It's a little random, though. I don't love that you could invest in this Death Strike missile and have like 2 attacks. Right? But I guess if you place it against multiple units, you're less likely to get that swingy result, right? If you're rolling for 4 units being hit by the 2d6 attacks, you're probably going to get an average outcome overall. Fun, interesting, unique unit. I want more units that have unique function and interaction with the enemy. Oh, Travis, is that right? I just... my bad. I gotta do a better job keeping an eye on chat. You replace both. And, yeah, so the twin battle cannon is replaced with 1 oppressor and 1 coaxial autocannon. Yeah, so I had that totally backwards. Twin linked, but nah, the AP is worth, I think. I think the oppressor is still the right one. It's still better. And then you get a coaxial autocannon as well. Twin battle cannon. It's D6 plus the same amount of shots. Both with blast. But worse strength and AP, even though you're twin linked. Very interesting. Okay, where are we? We're in the Ordnance. Wyverns. Suppression bombardment. It's a -1 to hit roll effect from the target being shot, excluding vehicles and monsters. Yeah, what else is there to it? I think that's it. The quad storm shard mortar is heavy. So again, built-in +1 to hit with that. Well, 40 inches isn't that huge. Yeah, this is way less potent of an indirect weapon, but it's that ability, that suppression fire. Hydra anti-air weapon. Each time this model makes an attack, a target suit that can fly, you can reroll the hit roll. Not bad. What's the profile? It's the Hydra autocannon, right? Yep. It has 4 attacks. Twin linked. So you're rerolling the hits and wounds against targets that fly with AP 1/3 damage. I mean, depending on what's hot. That might be very useful for jump pack infantry, right? Anti-fly is the fly keyword, I presume. Right, you got some annoying jump pack troops in the enemy lines. Even for something like Overwatch, you're re-rolling the hit roll, right? There's some utility there. Wounding on 2s against infantry. 3s re-rolling against flyers. Maybe 4s. I'm not sure what the average flyer toughness is. Okay, and we got super heavies. Jesus, more. It's just like the Lehman Russ. It's got so much. Okay, this ability was previewed on Warhammer Community for the Baneblade. Essentially, like it's as if it was a fortification. If a model, or if a model in a unit is obscured from the enemy, you get the benefits of cover, which is pretty cool. Yeah, you gotta keep in mind the Engine Seer can give this a 4-up invulnerable save, which is absolutely disgusting. it's so good. The Baneblade Cannon, 3d6, 12, -2, 3 damage. 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 3 Demolisher Cannon as well. Pretty good. The Stormlord has Firing Deck 24. It transports 40 Astra Militarum infantry models. Good lord. Each heavy weapon team takes a base of 2. Ogrins are 3. Can't transport artillery. Just reading your comment now, James. Is there any rule or comment on agents' retinues and transports? All the indexes use keywords on the transports, dedicated and not. I believe if you're talking about the regimental attaches, is that what you're talking about? These guys? Sorry, not those guys. Where was the attaches? There. You're talking about these dudes? Or are you talking about agents of the Imperium? These guys are allowed to embark within any transport that the unit they're attached to can join. So they would be able to go into whatever. If that is your question. Bane Blade, okay. Stormlord, yep. Firing Deck 24. Mount up. At the end of your opponent's movement phase, if there are no models currently embarked within this transport, you can select one friendly Astra Militarum infantry unit, excluding artillery, that's wholly within 6 inches of this transport. Unless that unit is within engagement range of 1 or more enemy units, it can embark within the... so it's like the emergency embarkation kind of rule we've seen on, I think, Primaris Repulsors and the Tau Devilfish. Agents of the Imperium. I haven't seen the Agents of Imperium index. I mean, I opened it and reorganized it, but I didn't give it a look through. Just didn't have the time. Yeah, I believe Inquisitors have the authority of the Inquisition to enter transports offhand, but I don't think anyone else has the keywords, to your point, right? Because it'd be Astra Militarum infantry models to enter in the Stormlord, for example. The Stormlord has the Vulcan Mega Bolter. Sustained hits 1, 20 shots. Pretty gross profile. 6-1, 2 damage. And you could give it take aim to make it hitting on 3s. Ugh. I mean, these are Lords of War, so you have to expect a certain level of potency. Okay, Bane Hammer. The Bane Hammer has firing deck 12. It transports how many? 26. In your shooting phase, just after selecting a target for this model's tremor cannon, the target unit and every other enemy infantry unit within 3 inches of that unit must take a battle shock test. Interesting to see this kind of utility on a Lord of War. But you know what? I think the Lord of Skulls had a similar effect as well. Battle shock caused by Lord of War being so deadly. Tremor cannon, 2d6 plus 3 shots. With blast, you get a few extra in there. 12 minus 2, 3 damage. Jeez. The Bane Sword. Armor obliteration. Each time an attack is made with this model's Quake Cannon, when it destroys an enemy model that has the Deadly Demise ability, that model's Deadly Demise ability inflicts mortal wounds on a roll of 3+ instead of a 6. The Quake Cannon is 6 minus... Oh, spent 16 AP 4 damage. That is gross. A D6 plus 6 attacks with blast. Ugh. Makes me queasy. Doomhammer. Doomhammer has close range Titan Killer. Each time this model's magma cannon targets an enemy monster or vehicle unit, that target is always considered to be within half range of that weapon. Okay, the magma cannon. Oh, it has a Melta 6, so monsters and vehicles are always +6 damage. D6 +6 against monsters and vehicles with AP 4, strength 12. Yep. That's a doozy, alright. And the Hellhammer. God, there's still 2 more of these things to go through. Close quarters warfare. This model does not suffer the penalty to its hit rolls from making ranged attacks while enemy units are within engagement range of it. The Hellhammer cannon is 4d6 shots. Blast, that's strength 7, AP 1, 2 damage. It's a lot of volume. It's all 2 damage. I don't know, it's definitely sparks less joy for me. It's so it's so variable. Okay, let's move on. The Storm Sword. Concussive Wave. In your shooting phase, just after selecting a target for this model's Storm Sword Siege Cannon, roll 1d6 for the target unit and every other unit within 3 inches of that unit. On a 5+, the unit being rolled for is struck by a concussive wave. After this model is finished making its attacks against the target unit this phase, each unit struck by a concussive wave suffers d3 mortal wounds. That's an interesting ability. Kind of cinematic. Pretty cool. So the Siege Cannon itself is d6 +6 attacks, strength 16, AP 4, d6 +2 damage. Yep, these are the profiles that strike fear when I think of my own monsters and vehicles. And Shadow Sword, Titan Killer. Each time a model makes a range attack with its volcano cannon that targets a monster or vehicle unit, those attacks have devastating wounds. And it's a blast weapon with heavy. 96-inch range, D3 +1 attacks. So pretty low volume compared to many of the other options. But strength 24, AP 5. That's so rare in 10th edition. I can't really recall what other weapons have AP 5. And 12 flat damage, which with the potential for devastating wounds. So you could just, if you roll that 6, just, God, 12 mortal wounds. Just obliterate something. Alright, so now we're at the, we're getting towards the end of the index here. Chimera. Well, we have a few transport vehicles and then the Tempesta stuff. Firing deck 2 on the Chimera. In your command phase, one officer model embarked within this transport can issue orders even though it is not on the battlefield. When doing so, measure distances to and from this transport. I like that. Fairly thematic, makes sense. Transport's 12, so you can fit your squad and a leader. Each augment takes the space of 3 models. Turox transports how many? 12 as well? Both 12? Yeah. Thought it'd be less for some reason. Rapid deployment. Units can disembark from this transport after it has advanced. Very cool exception. This is T8. 10 wounds versus the Chimera's 11 and T9. That's pretty neat. Valkyrie's grab shoot insertion. At the end of your opponent's movement phase, one or more units embarked within this transport can disembark from it, provided every model in each of those disembarking units has the deep strike ability. Okay, so a free rapid ingress style interaction, but you have to be embarked within the transport, and you're limited to disembarking or being set up, not anywhere you would want, like with rapid ingress, but within 3 inches or within disembarkation range of the Valkyrie, which is there's a lot going on there, a lot of interacting rules. I'm not certain if it's if it's valuable for that to be something of worthwhile utility, or if it's like a nothing burger of an ability. Alright, let us... Anything else noteworthy in the Valkyrie? Special weapons? Yeah, Hellstrike missiles, anti-fly. Seems alright. Okay, you have your Aegis defense line. It seems like the usual transport rules, or sorry, fortification rules here. It's a good looking, the new defense line looks good. Okay, Tempestus Command Squad. So the Tempestor Prime, while he's in the unit, you gain sustained hits 1. And they have the hotshot last guns. Yes, they do. Yeah, Medipack gives a 6-up feel no pain. Standard is +1 OC. Command Rod does... Oh, it allows you to be affected by 2 orders. Interesting. I would have figured it would allow the officer to issue an extra order. I think that's what it does now. Anytime the officer in the barrage unit issues an order, it can issue it to an eligible unit up to 24 inches away because of the Master Vox. Doesn't seem all that more special than your infantry abilities. But I guess your guys are better, right? Better skill and better last guns. Oh yes, yes. Hotshots are only AP 1, but a lot of stuff dropped AP. That is the deflation of AP. The Stormtroopers themselves, each time a model in this unit makes an attack, roll a hit roll of 1. If the target of that attack is an enemy unit within range of an objective marker, you can reroll the hit roll instead. Okay. So these guys can clear out enemies from the objective. Rerolling hits. They're not going to count as stationary when they're set up, so Born Soldiers won't affect them at all when they drop in. It's too bad there's no way to allow them to count as stationary, because then you could really have some perks that pop off, right? Turok Prime has fire support. Reroll the wound roll when you disembark. Oh, okay, it's like the Razorback. What's the capacity here? 12? Okay, so this actually might be reroll wounds on their strength 3 weapons with AP. Rapid fire 1. Yeah, I don't know. Tempestus Scions don't feel very, doesn't spark much joy. I don't know. I'm an outsider looking in, though, so my judgment could be askew on when weighing in on Imperial Guard things, you know. Vehicle armory. Here's the Lehman Russ options. There they all are. Yeah, Demolisher Cannon has a a good ratio of volume, strength, AP, and damage. Oh, that's it, eh? Well, guys, that was me looking through the Imperial Guard Index. I don't know. I feel like I don't add all that much to the Imperial Guard in terms of commentary. Yeah, the indirect. I don't think I'm misreading it. The indirect vehicles seem quite good going into the new edition. But anyways, I'm gonna wrap it up here. As usual, by the end of these streams, I'm kind of my vocal cords are kind of worse for wear. So big thanks to everyone who stopped by and who gave the stream a like. And I'll probably be back tomorrow. You know what? It's all Xenos tomorrow, and the only one I was invested in was Tyranids. So, I don't know. Maybe if there's something interesting to look through. Orcs are always fun to look at, right? Maybe we'll look at some orcs. Yeah, anyways, sorry. Really bad at wrapping up the stream. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.